my name is Michelle. I'm a therapist in the Seattle, Washington area with my practice, Next Chapter Counseling. I got a question from someone, and I'm going to summarize what they're asking and cut out some of the details. But basically, this person asked me about struggling with a situation where when she's at home with her partner, basically they don't spend any time together. She said her partner is just playing video games basically all the time whenever they're at home, and they don't really connect as a couple or do things together. And what can be done about this? And this, I think, unfortunately, can be a pretty common scenario. We have lots of things that involve screens that can really be distracting and take up a lot of our time. And sometimes we don't always really realize how much time we're spending with our screens versus how much time we're actually spending with the people we live with, doing things together. So I can pretty safely say this person's probably not alone with struggling with this. And so I'm going to talk about a couple different things to try and then talk about, basically worst case scenario. If none of those things work, then what? So the first thing, which may seem really obvious, and maybe this person has already tried this, but first thing I recommend is asking your partner to spend time with you. Basically, having a talk with them where, in your own words, you basically get the message across that you want them to spend less time, in this case, playing video games, but it can be with any activity, less time with that activity that's distracting them, taking away time that they could be spending with you, and that you want to spend more time together and to see how your partner responds to that. Again, it may seem really obvious, and you'd be surprised how many people actually don't do this. They just kind of maybe assume that either A, that conversation is pointless, or B, they might just make the assumption of like, well, my partner just doesn't want to spend time with me. That's why they're doing this so much. But they may think, your partner may think, that this status quo is just fine, that you're not dissatisfied, that you're good with things how they are, that maybe you like that much time to do your own thing. They may not realize this is actually a problem, and it may be that when you actually talk to them about it and say, hey, I'd really like it if we spent more time together, that they may go, oh, I would like that too. Sounds good. That they were just playing video games or, again, any activity that it is because they thought it was maybe what you wanted, or it could be for any number of reasons. So, again, maybe you've tried it, maybe you haven't, but I encourage you to do kind of the obvious thing and try to see what happens when you express that to your partner. Now, the second thing that I recommend is, especially if you talk to your partner about that, and I don't know, maybe the conversation doesn't go super great. Maybe your partner's like, I don't really want to cut back on my time with playing my video games, or I don't want to cut back on my time, watching stuff on my tablet or whatever it is. I want to keep doing this thing that I do. I don't want to really take too much time away from it. Is to try to figure out what it is that the two of you can actually do together at home. Because this is another legitimate barrier that comes up sometimes, is couples may not be spending a whole lot of time together because they don't know what to do together. Maybe they have very different movie tastes, or like they don't, I don't know, these are random ideas, but like they don't want to play card games or board games together. They don't want to go for walks together. Like they don't cook together. Like they spend a lot of time separately doing their own thing because there aren't really ideas of what can be done together. And so I encourage you, even if your partner is like, I really want to spend my time doing this, for you to take the initiative and come up with some ideas that the two of you can do together that you feel pretty strongly your partner's going to like and present those to your partner. To say something to them like, hey, want to watch a movie together tonight? This is the movie I've picked. And if it's a movie that you know your partner likes, maybe they'll get on board. Try to really rack your brain to come up with some ideas, because it sounds great and all to go to your partner and say, hey, I really want us to spend more time together. But then both of you may be left going, how do we do that? What does that actually look like? And if you don't already have some ideas for what that could look like, I can pretty much guarantee that things aren't going to shift tremendously. Things are probably going to stay much the same unless you have some ideas to present of how to make things different. And you may be surprised that that works. Even if your partner initially doesn't warm up to the idea of spending more time together, if you can come up with some good ideas for what you guys can do together at home that your partner may enjoy, hopefully your partner will come on board a little bit and won't shoot you down every single time you ask to spend time with them, if you've done some thinking and done some planning to make sure that it's something you guys can really truly enjoy together. Now, worst case scenario. The worst case scenario here is that your partner says they don't want to cut back on any amount of time that they're devoting to the activity that is taking up a lot of their time. And that when you go to them and say, hey, want to do this together? Want to do that together? Want to do this tonight? Want to do this tomorrow night or this weekend? They say no, 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 no. And you've tried everything you can think of to pull them away from what they're doing to spend time with you, and they just absolutely refuse to do it. Then what? And, I don't want to sound too doom and gloom, but I really think at that point it's important for you to consider if this is a relationship that you can be happy with long term. Because at that point, if your partner won't spend any amount of time with you in the week or the month, they spend no time with you when the two of you are at home together, this is a big concern. And it really means that the two of you are probably leading fairly separate lives. And is that sustainable? Is that going to work? Does that make you feel like you're really living a life with this person? Or does it feel like you're living a life trying to pull them along to want to be with you, and they would rather spend more time on their own than with you? And they won't be willing to step outside their comfort zone or pull themselves away from that even a little bit. That's a big deal. So it may mean that this relationship can't go the distance, because basically your two options are to either, I guess one way to put it is to just kind of put up with it, right? Like to live with things the way they are, even if it's not how you want them to be, and to just get by. And, when you've tried everything you can think of to change the status quo, when it's not budging, to just kind of give up and deal with it. Or the option is to realize that maybe this isn't the person for you, and that it could be worth it to find someone else down the line who does want to actually spend time with you, because it can be so worth it. And like I said, if you are truly not spending any time together when you're under the same roof, that can be a big deal. So, first things first, talk to your partner about your concerns. Try to come up with some ideas for things you can do together. And hopefully, your partner will get on board and you'll start spending, even if it's slow progression, a little more time together than you have been. But if things really aren't budging, it may be time to let this person go, unfortunately. If you have a question for me about love or relationships, send me an email, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com. Thanks, everyone.